Hello and welcome. So today we are working on this shaker card. Isn't that fun? Not normally real girly, but who can't resist a fairy? So the main things we use are some stencils that I have here by Folk Art, and I think you can get those at Michael's. And then a really convenient product for making a shaker card are these mixed media foam sheets, and I was graciously given these by one of the workers at ThermoWeb, so thank you, shout out to you. I love this product, and it's pretty simple. I go through how we layer it up and how we get it to have numerous different layers, so that's all fun. And yeah, there's a lot of fast forwarding in this one, and thanks for sharing. Be sure to subscribe. No, not thanks for sharing. Thanks for viewing. Be sure to subscribe and have a blessed day. Okay, so let's get to the bit of the layout. So it'll go like this, and then I'm going to put the DuraLar on top, and then we'll cover it and frame it in with one of these, like so. And then I don't know if I'm going to put it back onto here and then on the base or not. So, but anyway, I want the actual fairy to be sitting along the edge here, like so. So what we need to do is I need to get her onto the DuraLar. So I've just positioned her. I'm going to tape down this down so then she doesn't move. And I'm also going to place a piece of tape over the wings, because the wings, looking at this, will be black, and I think I want them a color, but just in case, so then that way I don't have to do it over. It's so tiny, and this is a Plaid Enterprises, a folk art. I had gotten this because I had done some outdoor fairy houses. You can see those on my blog. But I needed a fairy to go inside of the doorway, so this was a really nice, it was the scale I needed. It was really nice. So I'm using acrylic gesso. This is the golden that I love. And just gently tapping that in there. Now you could use StazOn ink, but I find that this acrylic should go through the actual stencil, which the ink might be a bit trouble. So give that a second to dry, and then I'm going to do another coat. Don't worry about this. I'm going to show you how that can be cleaned up. Actually, while that's drying, why don't we get these glued layered together. That may have been, you know what, I'm going to stick this down first. That probably would have been easier to do. So then it doesn't move. I can get it lined up properly. That's a little off, but I'm not going to stress about it. I don't know if Thermoweb has different thicknesses of this foam, but I'll tell you, that cut through the die cut with the Thinlit, really nice. Didn't have to worry about it. So I see no more gloss, so I know that's dry. Let's get another coat on here just so it's really, really dark. There we go. Kids are getting along today. That's a nice sign. There we go. And I can lift this. And you know what? Because it's a silhouette, I am just going to go ahead and do this black. Not do a color. And hopefully that's not going under. Guess we'll find out in just a minute here. And if it did, I'll just cut another one. We'll only go one coat with the wing. And while that's drying, why don't I show you how I stenciled the mushrooms. This is also a folk art. And so I just laid it down. This is kind of, need a new one. So this is the folk art, and I've got some candy apple. I really like the Tim Holtz Distress because it's such a thin consistency. It gives you a really great print. Or not print, excuse me. It gives you a really, really great paint on here. Because it's just such a thin consistency. There's no texture at all. So I just went through with this candy apple. I'm just lightly pouncing. And then for the stems, I've got some forest moss. Now I went with the deeper green because I thought it'll look nice if I added a little bit of brown to it, which it did, because here they are done and cut out. And I'm not worrying if I go over into the red, because at this point the mushroom's it's gonna be a little, you know, have some of the bottom color in it, I think anyway. To me it just makes it look a little more, I don't know, realistic, a little more depth. So then there's that, like so. And then what I did next is I've got a, oh, it's in my water. I've got a Brutus, there we go. So this is what I did to make the dots, and you could do this anyway. You could use just a Posca pen, whatever you have, but I happen to have this, so why not? And so I just laid the dots on there, leaving the stencil in place, and they came out pretty cute. Okay, so now this is all done, and it did go through. Okay, so what happened was with this old one, there was too much gesso. It was too wet of a sponge on there. So I can just do this in a couple layers, making sure that my sponge and my the dauber here is really, 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 really dry, and just being patient with it. Because if I push too hard, then too much of the gesso comes out and ends up under the stencil. Okay, so I've cut out a, what is this, 1 1/4, yeah, about a 1 1/4 inch diameter circle, and this is going to be for the moon. What we need to do first is to get the yellow down, so I'm going to use some squeezed lemonade, oxides, because they blend so nicely, and just get this down. Decent amount. I want it to be like a real glowy. It should be good. Now let's just reposition again. So here, let's go about right there. And then let's just start layering. And I'm just going to open all these up. I've got wilted violet, black soot, shaded lilac. You definitely don't need to do all these colors, but why not? I'm going to go for a pretty mixed kind of night scene. So let's just... Okay, so I feel I'm not going to go with all the trees because she kind of gets lost. So I'm only going to keep these couple of trees. So, but I want it not only in the background, but I want it in this framed piece too. So I'm just going to carefully cut away at this. So I want these two, I want this one and this one. Actually, it's probably going to go over here to off the page. So I need this one and this one. Okay. So I realized once I started to put it together that I accidentally glued the tree to here, but when we layer it on top, it's actually on here. So I just fixed that off screen. And so now what I want to do, I want to add some stars. So I've got a splat box here, and I'm going to lay out our pieces. With the exception of, or no, actually all the pieces are here, but I want to add the one of the pieces here, so then that way we don't have a bunch of stars on her. You'll see them through, but, and then I've also got my sequin stuff ready to go. So what I have in here is just golden fluid white, titanium white. So we'll just get some out there. And then I have a, what does Tim call this? A splat brush, I think. So we're just gonna, I'm gonna go straight white first. And the trick to this brush is to do it away from you. Let me get these up a little higher. So there's some nice little ones. And then I'm going to add some water to it so we get bigger stars. Actually, I want more. Such in a habit of closing things that... So let's get some more. These are just little ones. Actually, you know what? I'm liking how these are turning out so much that I'm not going to add any water. Depending, yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it like this. Let's get some directly on here. This will give us bigger ones. Because I can always take and hit right on here too. Ooh, a couple falling stars. Okay, that looks pretty good. And then I think I'm going to add even a couple of extra ones. Let's see here. Once this dries, then we'll use on the stencil here, we had all these little stars. So I actually just shook it down like this and got some bigger ones. They're still wet, so I'm just going to add some lines into them so they appear as if they're sparkling. Okay, so let's start building the shaker portion of it. First, I'm going to glue this mushroom down on the inside. About here, I did add a little bit of yellow just to make it look like the moon was glowing off of it. Okay, and I've got this all lined up, ready to go. And so I've got, let's see, I didn't know how much I would need, so I've got a mix of glitters, some yellow and some distressed clear, and then some opal. They're opal. I'll list everything that I use. And this is pretty big, so I want to make sure I get a good amount in there. I've got some sequins. Again, mixing it. And then some little glass beads to help move everything around. And to make a little noise. Okay, I think that'll be good. I'm going to make sure that I put some of, this is for embossing, but I'm going to put it on here to make sure that the stuff doesn't stick. Let's make sure this is dry. And then this goes this way. Line it up. Press. And there we go. Can't even see the mushroom. That's okay. Now let's take and finish this up. I'm thinking, let's get this here. Do some little ones. And then I am going to cut some greenery, and I'll be right back.